And welcome to Believe TV. My name is Bruce Sampson, and I am your host. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you this is your first time tuning in, let me tell you that this is an interactive space, and we encourage you to get involved with us. If you have any questions or any thoughts that you want to add to the conversation, feel free to put those in the comments field below. And as long as they're appropriate, I'll acknowledge those and we'll address those as they come up. I'm really excited. Again, for those of you who don't know this format, this is what I generally like to do is invite on people who are in the performing arts industry or and just in any arena of life that I find interesting and that I could possibly learn from. Um, People that have exciting careers and interesting points of view on the world, and usually those that are positive. Um, and a lot of times I'll have on friends of mine who are in the industry. And selfishly, I will admit that it is also an opportunity for me to learn more about them. Like I'll have friends on who I've known for decades, right? But there's still things that I don't know about them. Like every time I've interviewed any of my friends, I always learn something new. So indulge me and thank you for coming along on this journey as we begin this whole thing. All righty. Today, a good friend of mine who I haven't seen in a very long time, one of the most talented people I know. He's a true triple threat and then some. And he's done stage and screen, uh, had a very career, and I don't want to give too much away. Uh, I want to go ahead and have the conversation with him. And so, without further ado, I'll go ahead and bring him on the screen. My good friend, Mr. Ray Garcia. Welcome, Ray, to the show.
Hi, thank you, Bruce. Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's so good to see you, my friend.
It's so good to see you too. It's been
It's,
such a long time.
it has. I was actually thinking about it before sitting down to do this and thinking, when was the last time I saw you? And I feel like it was at the Young Americans 50-year anniversary.
Yes,
I think that was the last time we saw each other.
yeah, I think it was. It was the last time I
Yeah,
saw a lot of my young American friends back then. Yeah,
yeah,
that was such a
it,
fun time, wasn't it? I had such a
yeah.
good time that weekend. That was awesome.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
So 10 years.
yeah,
It's been 10 years
that's crazy.
because this is the 60th anniversary now.
Oh my gosh,
Isn't that incredible?
that it's crazy to think about. Yeah.
That's awesome. So there's so much that I want to talk to you about. But I want to start, if you don't mind, let's start at the very beginning and tell me about your youth, where you're from, and tell me about your family.
Okay. Well, I'm from a really small town called Bay City, Texas. It's like an hour and a half south of Houston, right? It's like 20 minutes from the beach of the Gulf. I grew up with, there's 7 kids in our family. There's 6 boys and 1 girl. I'm the youngest boy, and then my baby sister was after me. So I grew up with a big family. Um, and yeah, my brothers were very into sports. I loved music and singing and a band and stuff, and they were mostly into sports. So I was kind of like the weird, what do you like? So, but I've always loved musicals and singing, and I played in the band. I played piano, so I was always into that stuff. And so yeah, in my senior year in high school, one night in my life changed. Well, one night changed my whole entire life. So I had a saxophone, alto sax, and piano scholarship to go to East Texas State University. It was my senior year. I'd already auditioned for the scholarships. I already had my dorm room. I had everything set to go to college that next semester. Well, after I graduated, and Young Americans came to my hometown and performed. It was the Gershwin tour, and they performed at my high school auditorium. And I saw the show, and I was blown away because I had never seen anything like it before. Because in our small town, we don't have a lot of that stuff. So it was Serena Nelson that auditioned me after the show. I remember she auditioned me after the show, and I waited months, and then I got a letter saying that I had been picked to do the Petoskey AMT thing, and it was $1,400, and we didn't have a lot of money back then, and so we did a lot of fundraisers, and a lot of the businesses here in Bay City donated to me so I could pay that money to go.
Oh,
was
wow.
something that I'd always remembered, right? I would never forget that because it was something that was very special to me that they did that for me. So then I got to go to Summer Petoskey, and I did 3 shows there. I did the first Young American show, and I did Jesus Christ Superstar, and I did Richard Rogers. And then we went on tour with Liberace, and it was just the most amazing, crazy, amazing experience of my life because I wasn't a dancer at that point. I'd only was in band.
What?
Yeah, I wasn't dancing. I was singing in the choir, and I was in the drama class, and I was in band. And then once I got my letter from Young Americans, I started taking dance class at our local dance studio here in Bay City, and a lady named Annette Isaacson. And so I took for maybe 4 months before I went to Petoskey. But when I got there, they all thought that I was a dancer. So I did a lot of the dancing stuff there with them. Anyway, so then they invited me to move to California, and I just asked my parents. I said, I really want to go to California. This is something I feel like I need to do, and I really want to do. And luckily for me, my parents knew that I was a very passionate kid. Whenever I said I wanted something, it wasn't on a whim. I really, really wanted it. So they said, okay. And my dad bought me a 78 used Camaro, and I drove out to LA. And that's how it all, yeah.
Wow.
And if I hadn't seen the show that night, I would have gone to East Texas and majored in music and become a band director. Isn't that
How
crazy?
funny. That's incredible.
It's crazy.
And so just that whole notion of like just uprooting and changing everything and then moving, driving, across country to California and everything.
Mhm.
Were you frightened at all, or like what
Um,
was the sensation of that?
you know what, Bruce? People ask me all the time if I was. I mean, I guess I was kind of nervous, I guess, because it was new for me. But I was more than anything, I was excited because I'd already met the people in Petoskey, the California people like Joey Murphy, John Pardee, Martha Williams, all those, Mark Wahlberg, all those friends of mine, John Sharon, all those people that I met in Petoskey. I knew they were in California waiting. And so I was excited to go see them, and I was excited to perform. Like I couldn't wait to sing and dance again. So I wasn't scared. I was maybe nervous about the driving and stuff, but I was more than anything excited and looking forward to just performing with Young Americans. That was such a big thing for me.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
And so did you already like know like who you were staying with and where you were
Yes,
gonna land?
I made plans with John Pardee and his mother. I asked John Pardee said I could stay with them for a while until I found an apartment. So I stayed with John Pardee and his mom in Tustin. I guess I stayed there for maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe. And then I got an apartment with Mark Wahlberg, John Sharon, John Pardee, and me. And we lived in Brea, California, right across the street from the high school, the Brea Linda High School, and the mall. Um, yeah,
Wow.
it was the 4 of us in a 2 bedroom apartment, and it was exciting. It was new. It was something that I never thought I would. I never in a million years thought I would get to experience what I was doing at that moment. It was just so exciting. Yeah.
And how like have you ever thought about the fact that the four of you have been so successful?
Yeah,
Meaning like you're gonna like that's crazy that
I
all
know.
four of you.
It really, it's one of those things where I look at, like, I see Mark Wahlberg on TV and doing his things, and I think about it back then because he used to get up in Petoskey. He used to get up on his chair in the cafeteria and do these big speeches and talk to the whole group. And I was like, it just makes sense to me that Mark Wahlberg does what he does.
Yeah, right.
He was so good at it even back then. And John Sharon, because he was such a wonderful, beautiful dancer. I mean, he still is, obviously, but I looked up to him so much because I wanted to be like him. I wanted to dance like him. So I knew that he was going to go far because he was so talented. And John Pardee was always so funny. He was always, him and Joey Murphy, Joey, they were always so funny, made me laugh. And so I'm not surprised that they're successful. It's happy to see, obviously, because they're my friends and I love them. And so it's kind of cool that we all went on and did our thing, and we continued performing for a really, really long. We're still doing it,
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
So it's great. It's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mhm.
So so for you, let's say before we'll take the two different points. So before your introduction to Young Americans and then post,
Mhm.
what was Ray Garcia's dream?
Okay, so before Young Americans, my dream was I was obviously loved music, and so I was gonna go to East Texas. I was gonna major in music. And my goal in my head was either to become a studio musician because I'd heard about those, or a band director. somewhere. That was my dream. Like that's what I wanted to do. And
Okay.
then after young, but you know, you have to understand. And growing up, my town had what 13,000 people here, right? So no one ever talked about Broadway or TV or film. Like no one, that wasn't a thing here. Like even in my drama class, we didn't talk about, oh, I'm going to go audition for Hollywood. No, we never talked about it. It was just a thing. So
Right.
I didn't know, it wasn't in my head. So, but then after I started doing Young Americans, obviously my goal was I wanted to perform, you know, be it on in Broadway or on film or on TV. Mike, I wanted to be a performer, an actor, singer, dancer. I wanted to do all of it. And it was such a big, huge, I mean, obviously my huge thing in my life. I couldn't think about anything else. That's all I wanted to do. And people always say you have to be passionate about this stuff, like dancing and stuff, because it's definitely not an easy road as well. You know, Bruce, right? It's
Sure.
not easy. It's like constant auditions and constant training. And it's, you know, it's hard, but yeah, I knew that I wanted to do. I wanted to be on Broadway. I wanted to do a film. I want to do those things for sure. That's what was my goal.
And did you ever have like a plan or uh like a timeline for yourself? Like did you set like by this time I need to accomplish this and by this time I need to do that or anything like that?
Um, mm, I don't think so. I don't think I wasn't that type of person. I think, you know, you know that I was trying to get a record deal at some point. I remember saying to myself, if I haven't got anything by the time I'm 30 or 32 or in my early 30s, I'm not going to try anymore. I think, but that was really the only thing, getting the record deal thing. Cause you know, and back in those days you had to be like 18, you know, they weren't looking for
Right.
30-year-olds.
Right.
But that was really the only thing that I was kind of saying that about. It wasn't nothing else. Nothing else.
Okay, so I'm going to divert just for a second, just since you mentioned the record deal thing,
Yes.
because I want to know if you remember this or how you remember this,
Okay.
because I may remember completely differently from you. But so do you remember my boy band, the Mercury Project
Yes.
with
Yes.
Kenny and Sam and everything?
Mhm.
Okay, do you have any memory of you ever being a part of that?
I mean, I remember being around all of you at the same time, but I don't remember being in it. I wasn't in it. Was I?
Well, see, that's the thing for me because I can't remember if you ever said yes because my original plan, like I was still in Louisiana when we were conjuring up the idea of doing this thing,
Uh-huh.
right? And I reached out to Kenny first
Mhm.
and I said, I want to do this thing. I have this idea. Are you down? And he's like, yeah. And I said, this is the group that I envision. I'm like you, me, Sam Holly, and Ray Garcia.
Oh.
And he's like, that would be so great. Yeah, let's do that. And I know that when I first came out and the first time we got together, it was actually, I think you were living with Sam
Yes.
in Fullerton, right?
Yes. Yes.
And we came to your apartment, and I don't know if it was your piano or Sam's piano, but I remember we sat around the piano and I was like showing songs that I'd written.
Mhm.
And I was trying to remember if you were part of that or if you had already said, no, I'm not, that you weren't in.
You know what, Bruce? I honestly don't remember I don't remember being asked because I feel like if I had remembered being asked, that I probably would have said yes because that would have sounded amazing to me back then. I don't remember being asked though. I don't remember that. But you know, I'm old.
Because my memory, and again, it could be completely flawed, but the way I've remembered it and the way I've told the story to others is that you were initially like, yes, I'm down, let's
Mhm.
try it. And then once I got out there, you got some other gig
Mm.
and you're like, I got to go do this. This is a great opportunity for me. I got to go do it. And then that's why you weren't part of the group.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it might have happened. Because what year was this? Do you remember what year it was? Was it like 85, 86? Or was it after that?
um, it had to have been like 86. Yeah.
Okay, so if it was 86, I moved to Italy in 86. So maybe it was I had the gig in Italy and I couldn't
That's probably what it was. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe I wasn't lying all these
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. I got a TV show in Italy, so I moved there in September of '86. August of '86, I guess. Really.
Oh, that would make sense then.
Yeah,
That timing would be about right.
yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Um, so you, I'd actually forgotten this until I was like stalking your Facebook and stuff that you played instruments and stuff like so you play piano and sax, but do you play anything else?
Yes. Well, I not right, probably not now because I probably couldn't remember. But back in the day, when I was into the music thing, I played alto sax, I played flute, I played oboe, I played piano, and that's it, really. That
Wow,
yeah.
that's it.
Well, because I was such band geek. I started out with the alto sax and then I just wanted to learn the flute just because. And so I started learning the flute and I started, competing with the UIL stuff. I would do flute trios and stuff like that with other people. And then the oboe thing happened because my band director said, we don't have an oboe player. Do you mind learning it? Because I really want to do this piece in the concert season and blah, blah. So that's how I learned the oboe. So I loved it though. I couldn't wait. I wanted to learn more things. So that's
Yeah.
how I learned to play so many instruments. Yeah.
Wow. And it's so interesting to me too, because like our time in the Young Americans, like I knew you had all these talents. I knew you could sing. I knew you could do all this stuff. But I think I always thought of you as a dancer first. So it blows my mind now that you didn't start that until, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like for some reason in my head, I've always thought, well, that's Ray's main thing is
Yeah.
dancing. Because I even remember thinking when I was talking to Kenny about the Mercury Project thing that I I hope Ray will say okay and understand, that yeah, that this, even though he's a dancer, he sings like he has a beautiful voice, and I think this can work.
Yeah.
So that's really funny. I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people, it's funny because even when later on in the '90s, when I was, I sang, I remember singing. Someone was looking for somebody to sing at some gig, and one of the guys who owned the company, one of my friends had recommended me, and this was even after I did Rent, and the guy's like, "Does Ray sing?" And they're like, "Yes." People just looked at me as a dancer.
Yeah,
It's funny that people did that, but
that's so interesting.
yeah.
In fact, one of my favorite things. Now that I'm looking back, I think the only time you and I actually performed together was at Baxter Street.
Yeah,
Um,
I think you're right, Bruce. I was thinking about that.
yeah, because I've seen you perform in a number of shows, but as far as us performing together, that's the only time I think we ever shared the stage.
Yeah.
For however long that was,
Yeah.
which probably wasn't that long. But one of my favorite things was, and I don't remember if I needed to be out there or not, but in one of the shows, I want to say it was Tin Pan Alley or something like that. But in one of the shows, I remember always making sure that I was in the house when you did Music in the Mirror.
Oh, Bruce,
Remember that?
yes.
Remember doing that number?
Yeah.
Because I'd never seen anything like it before. Like watching you do that was just breathtaking
Oh,
to
you're
me.
so sweet. Thank you.
So every performance, I made sure I was in the house so I could watch it.
Thank
And so, and I was probably made myself late to the next number, but I just knew I had to see that. It was just incredible.
Thank you.
Do you have any other like moments or experiences that are like highlights for you of your Young American time?
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you this. It's one of those things, like I told you, that Young Americans changed the whole course of my life, and I will always be grateful to them because I feel like I learned so many things from Young Americans. Obviously, we got such great training, as far as stage and mics and things like that. But I think for me, just the fact that I was from this small little town and that I was on a big amphitheater stage with Liberace my first summer. You know what I mean? To go from Bay City, never being on stage in a dancing, singing show ever in my life, to being on stage with Liberace doing Girlfriend. Like, that to me was like, oh, I couldn't even believe it. Like, it was like the craziest thing. So, but Young Americans, like, I mean, obviously, I got to go to France the next summer. I went to Cannes, France the next summer, so that was a huge highlight for me. I mean, I'd never been 2 hours from my hometown, so the fact that I got to go to Europe that in 1982 was amazing. And then doing the national tour was amazing. I did that, and then just and Baxter Street. That was such a wonderful, wonderful time in my life. And my sister still talks about it to this day. She still talks about Baxter Street.
Really?
Yes, she literally still talks about. Remember when you did Baxter Street? I used to love, like, she loved those shows, and I think because we had such great people in those casts, like, everybody was so talented, and it was just so fun, and I don't know. I have very fond memories of Baxter Street and being able to, and that's, I think, also helped me with my singing because, as like you said before, Young Americans didn't consider me a singer, so I never had any singing roles in any of the Young American shows. You know what I mean? The people had Stuart Liddell, all those people had Rod Burton. They had all the singing solos, so I never really got to sing a solo. Right. So for me to be in Baxter Street and actually sing my own song and sing a solo and stuff, that helped me and gave me confidence in my next steps of my career. So that was really important for me.
Wow. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, do you recall what was your first professional gig outside of Young Americans?
So I was still living in Orange County, and I was taking class at Joe Tremaine's dance studio in Studio City, and I would drive back and forth, and I would meet other dancers there. They would always talk about, "Oh, I just did this music video," and I'm like, "Hey, I want to audition for those things." So, but one of the people in my class talked about this audition. It was for the LA Drama Critics Circle Award show that was being held in Hollywood, and I went to the audition and I booked it. So I got to dance with Don McKechnie and Carol Cook, like all the Broadway people, Pamela Myers, yeah. And that was my very first. Even though we didn't get paid, it was like a benefit thing. But that was my first professional on stage other than Young Americans was that. Besides Disneyland, but Disneyland is, Disneyland. I mean, I did work at Disneyland and did those shows as well, which is also professional. But I'm talking about I don't know. I feel like that's part of my Young American life too, for some reason. The Disneyland and Young Americans, it was all in Orange County, and I don't know.
Well, you were doing a lot of that simultaneously, right?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was doing. I think I was doing Backstreet and Kids of the Kingdom too. I did like 4 stage shows at Disney, and I was in the parades. And I mean, I love my time there too. Again, great training and great people. I loved working for Disney. But that was my first real gig, was the LA Drama Critics Circle Award show. And I have a feeling that was I want to say 84, 85 or something like that. It was really early.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember there were a lot of you guys who did parades and did other things. In fact, I always joke around telling my daughters, because my daughters are absolute Disney nuts.
Yeah. They're all so beautiful, Bruce. I was looking at they're so a beautiful family. Beautiful.
And 2 of them have, one of them is currently performing at Disneyland, and my oldest has done, a few different Disney parks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I remember telling them that until I got married, I'd been to Disney any number of times, but I'd never paid because I always had a friend who could sign me in.
Yeah.
There were so many of you guys that worked there.
That's so funny, yeah.
I remember there were a few times Michael Jones, he was like, "If you can just give me a ride to work, I'll sign you in." Oh my gosh.
Those are great days.
So we have a few friends who are chiming in.
Okay.
Philip Tesoro.
Hi, Philip.
I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I've known him for years too, and never pronounced his last name. Disney and YA is my 2 other families. Yeah, it is like another family.
Yeah, they're both exactly. Yeah.
And do you know Mia Ortega?
I don't know if I know Mia. Her picture looks familiar.
She was a YA. I've known her all through when she was in high school.
Okay.
She went to school with my kids.
Oh, hi, Mia.
And then was a Young American, but she's a professional performer now, and goes
great
all over the world doing stuff.
Love it.
And then my friend Karen Zinhofer, who's saying hello from Hamburg, Germany.
Hi, Karen. I've been to Hamburg, Germany. It's beautiful there.
It is. It is. So what Could you give me like some other? So we talked about your first professional
Mhm.
experience and stuff. Uh, what are some of your highlights? Like some of the big things for you that you're like, oh, I'll never forget these.
Okay, well, and I'm sure a lot of other performers do this too, because I have these periods. I have my Young Americans, my Disney, my Italy, my Universal, my Debbie Gibson. You have your periods, right? That you go through your life. And so for me, everything I did gave me the confidence to do the next thing, if that makes sense. Like everything, I was always training, always learning, because I feel like, the more you learn from other people that you're working with and stuff, the better you're going to be after the gig. So for me, after Disneyland, I went to Italy, and I performed on a TV show called Fantastico. Well, actually, the first show I did was Premiatissima, and I loved it there. And I stayed for like 3 years, 3.5 years. I lived in Italy, and I did like 3 other TV shows there. I got to learn how to speak Italian. I still have some amazing friends that I still keep in contact to this day in Italy from that. That was an amazing thing to me because, you know, I got to be on TV in Italy and learn the language, and I still have friends there. So that was an amazing thing. And then I did the Debbie Gibson tour. I was a dancer on her tour, and that was amazing because I got to go to Japan and Singapore and all these different places with her and perform with her. And it's crazy to be on a stage with the pop artist because she was really big at the time. And I just remember in Osaka, Japan, like we start on stage and the crowd is just crazy loud, and then she comes out and it gets even louder. And to experience that was like, that was crazy. So and Deborah and I are best friends to this day because we got to get close, and so now we're really really good friends still. And then I had my Universal period where I danced at in the Beetlejuice show at Universal, where I met my current my husband now. Um, we got cast at the same time. He played Beetlejuice and I played Dracula. And so did that for a few years, and then I got to do Rent on Broadway. And that was I remember the very first night taking my bow and just crying because I
Yeah.
was like, I can't believe I'm on Broadway in Rent with these, because I did it with almost all the original cast, like Adam Pascal and Anthony Rapp and Taye Diggs. They were all in the cast at the time. And I was looking like this going, I can't believe I can't believe it. So that was an amazing experience for me. And so, um, and then I came back to LA, did other shows and stuff. And, I think the next thing would be, I got to do Rita Moreno's one woman show in Berkeley Rep. And it was me and one other guy. And so basically it was called Life with No Makeup. And she just kind of tells the story of her life through song and talking and stuff. And so I remember being in rehearsal, one of the very first days of rehearsal, and we were learning the high school gym dance, the mambo. And I'm holding her, like Rita Moreno was like right here. And I'll preface this by saying that she's my idol. Like when West Side Story, like that whole thing, was one of the reasons I wanted to dance. Anyway, so I'm holding her and I start crying. I'm trying not to, but I start crying.
Oh,
And she's like, what's the matter? Are you okay? I go, I'm okay. I just can't believe I'm dancing with Rita Moreno. And she just goes, oh, and she gave me a big hug. And it was just one of the most amazing experiences of my life. The whole run. I was with her for like 5 months doing that show. And she's just classy and so talented and a hard worker. She was 79 at the time,
wow.
working her butt off every day and every night. And that was an amazing experience working with her.
So having had that experience, can I ask what your thoughts were about her involvement in the new movie
Um,
version?
you know what? I was happy about it. I'll tell you, I don't know if I can't say that I love the new one. I liked it. But because it's such a special thing for me, it was hard to see it any other way, kind of. So,
Mm,
but I love that they put her in there. I love that she had a part in it because she's West Side Story. You know what I
right.
mean? She is West Side Story.
Absolutely.
So for her to be in that part, in that role, and she did such a great job in it. So it wasn't like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's like, oh, let's do it for whatever. She really, really had a great part and really did what she did her best with that part, and you could see how great it was. She did really great.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah. I think for me, the main thing was just the fact that I just thought that it was honoring her. You know what I mean?
mhm.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I just thought that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, so real quick,
Yeah.
Celia, my big sister.
Hi, Sarah. Oh my God, I love her. My dance partner, Celia.
Absolute best. She was one of the very first people that I ever met going up to AMT
Oh
back in,
wow,
what was it, 79 that
mhm.
I went.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah. And she's been like my big sister. She's been looking out for me ever since.
Well, she was in the Gershwin show that performed at my high school that night that I saw. So
Wow.
she's one of the reasons I wanted to audition. They were so good that night. I was just blown away by all of them. They were so good.
Okay, I'm going to test your memory again with something
Okay.
totally random. Um, so, do you remember? I think you were on a break or something from tour with Debbie Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or the tour had ended, but I felt like you were on a break or something. But you were back. You were in California, and do you remember coming over to my house and we were my apartment in Tustin, and were working on a song idea that you had, like, and you wanted to show it to Debbie, and
My gosh.
so like we were in my little studio thing and recording some stuff, and this is my memory. So again,
Yours is
you
going to be
know,
way better than mine. Let's just say that.
so what I remember is we're figuring out chords and stuff and laying this thing down, this idea that you had, and whatever I think I played, whatever it was, I was playing chords
Mm-hmm.
for a certain part of it, and then you said, I'm gonna call her right now and let her hear what we've got.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget that she, like, this is my memory though, is that you called, you let her hear it, and then her response was, "That's beautiful. Um, in the fifth measure, third chord, that should be a minor seventh," or something like that, she said. And I'm like, and I went over to the keyboard, like, what do you mean it should? Oh. I'm going, she's totally right. Like, I mean, I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was something like that, like where she said, this is what the chord should
Yes,
be.
yes.
And I'm like, wow, like that's crazy.
That
Do you
is
recall that at all? Or
I remember being at your house, but I don't remember that particular conversation with her. But I can tell you that is so Debbie Gibson, because she blows my mind. And I don't know, people don't know how talented she is, because first of all, she has perfect pitch. And secondly, I don't think she'll get mad at me for telling you this. So I was doing shows with Adidas, and we were in Switzerland, and she came to visit me. So she came out, and we hung out for a few weeks while we were doing this little tour thing. And there was a lake by where we were performing at. So she goes, I'm going to go walk by the lake. I'm like, okay. And she always carried her notebook with her where she writes. She's always writing songs and stuff. So she had her notebook with her. And she comes back and she goes, I wrote I can't remember if it was 4 or 5. It was 4 or 5 songs. And I'm like, how did you do that? You don't have a piano. She goes, so what she does is she sings the melody in her head. First, she writes the lyrics. Then she writes the note of that lyric above it. So if it's like A, B, C, she'll write A, B, C. She writes out the notes on top of the lyrics. Then she just plays it like she's played it for 20 years. And it's the craziest thing. And she does all of that without a piano. Like, do you understand? Like, people don't. Do you know how hard that is, right?
yes,
To just.
yes,
I mean, I can't even, when she did it, and then she played them for me, and they were all beautiful. I'm like, how do you do? I don't understand. So
wow,
talented. So I can totally see her saying that.
yeah,
That's hard to get me out of that. Yeah, that's so funny.
that's incredible. So who who are some of your favorite celebrities that you've worked with? Because I know you've worked with a lot.
I've gotten to work with a lot of really great people. I've done a lot of mostly in the benefits. There were the stage benefits in LA that helps with all of the AIDS foundations and stuff. And so I got to work with a lot of people in that. I got um I'm gonna forget all the names. So I got to work with Jane Russell once. She was awesome. Um, oh my gosh, Betty Garrett. That's Betty Garrett. Do you know who Betty Garrett is? She
No, I
was
don't
in the
think so.
movie. Okay, if you saw On the Town with Gene Kelly,
Okay.
okay,
Right.
and then there's Ann Miller, and what's the other girl's name that was in White Christmas? What's her name? It's Gwen. Is it Gwen? The blonde one. I can't remember her name.
Uh,
Anyway,
Verdon.
that's what I thought it was, Gwen Verdon. But then I thought, is it her? I don't
It's
know.
just,
But
I don't know.
anyway, so Betty Garrett played the taxi driver woman in that movie. Okay, she did a lot of big movies in the 40s,
Oh,
and then
okay.
she was also on Laverne and Shirley. She was Laverne's father's love interest. And I
Right.
can't think of her.
Right.
Anyway, her,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
sweetest woman. And I used to have to give her rides to rehearsals because she didn't have a ride. So I would go pick her up and she would just tell me stories of back in the days, like movie stories, like about Frank Sinatra and how what he did
Oh,
on the
yeah.
set. And it was the most wonderful, wonderful time. And I just loved her so much. And she's passed away, obviously. And but God, what a talent, what a wonderful, wonderful woman. So I've worked with her. Um, just I don't know. I've worked with Gloria Stefan. She was really sweet. Jodie Watley, I still talk to on Instagram because I love her. My sister did her costumes for her video, and I danced in it, which was kind of cool. That she did. My sister did the video in the costume area, and then I danced in it, so we got to work together. And so we still talk to her and say hi to her. She's awesome, Jodie Watley. Janet Jackson, she's awesome. I mean,
I
there's
was gonna say that. I was trying to remember in my brain. I couldn't remember which one it was or whatever. But somehow in my brain, I was like, I think Ray was in one of her music videos, but I couldn't remember for sure.
Do you want to hear my Janet Jackson story? It's
Oh,
kind
I
of a
would love to.
okay,
I'd
it's
love.
kind of a sad story.
Uh
Um,
oh.
so I'll try to tell it quick because it's kind of okay. So
That's all good.
Paula Abdul was choreographing the Nasty video. Okay, back in the day, back in Nasty. You used to remember the Nasty video with the boys
Hmm.
dancing around her, whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
I auditioned for that video. This is right when I got into LA, like in the early 80s. Anyway, so I booked the video. And so I called my family. Oh my God, I got the Janet Jackson video. It's so wonderful and blah, blah. So I go to the first day of rehearsal, and then Paul Abdul comes out and says, oh, you guys, the producer wants to see other people. So we have to dance again to see who gets the video. So we danced again, and I didn't get it. I was the only one. So I got taken out of the video. I guess, I don't know. I was the newest person. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't get the video. So I was very, very disappointed. And then Paul Abdul afterwards, like, Ray, I promise you we're going to work together. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Okay. So then the next video comes up, and it's the When I Think of You video. When I Think of You, right? So I go to the audition, and I think that was like on a Thursday. Anyway, the next week, that weekend, Saturday, there was an audition for Mitzi Gaynor. They were looking for 2 more dancers to go on tour with her. And I didn't know what was going to happen with Janet Jackson video. So I went to that audition. I booked it. They're like, we want you to go. I'm like, well, let me call my agent. And I called my agent. She goes, I don't know if you made it or not. So anyway, I said yes to Mitzi Gaynor. And then the next Monday, they go, you got the video. Can't do it because I'm going on tour with Mitzi Gaynor. So that's the
Oh my
second
God.
Janet Jackson video that I get to do. And Paul Abdul choreographed that too. So then the next one was Paula actually just hired me. I didn't have to audition. It was for a group called Team Dream. I don't know if you remember them. And she wanted me to do the video. And I was like, okay, I would love to. So I got to work with her. So one day of rehearsal, we were rehearsing for this video. And at the end of that day, the producers come in and say, oh, we have to move the shoot to not this weekend, but the next weekend. Well, the next weekend I was moving to Italy. So I didn't get to do that video either.
Are you serious?
Yes. So then the next thing, I don't remember if it was before this or after this. So then you remember the song Diamonds with Herb Alpert?
Yeah,
Diamonds,
yeah.
love don't come for free. That's Janet Jackson video. Anyway, I did that video, but Janet Jackson's
Okay.
not in the video. Does that make sense?
Oh,
It's Herb
that's
Alpert.
funny.
It's Herb Alpert's playing his trumpet, and there's a silhouette that looks like Janet Jackson, but it's not her. So she wasn't there that day. But I'll tell you this: every time I saw Janet Jackson at the Tremaines or wherever I saw her, she always, always said hi to me and asked how I was. That's how sweet she was.
Oh,
Isn't
I
that
love
great?
that.
Yeah, she
I
was
love
so,
that.
so nice to me. So she knew who I was, but I never got to actually be in her video.
Right. Oh man.
I know. So
Um, That's incredible. Okay, so obviously a man of many talents. Um, what led you to photography?
So this was later, like 2004. I was doing the Ten Commandments with Val Kilmer at the Hollywood
Wow.
Kodak Theater.
Okay.
So that's a whole nother hour. You'd want to hear that story. Anyway, no, it was a big show in LA and everyone was auditioning for it. It was this huge thing, and we had a lot of people in that cast. But let me tell you, that was a wonderful experience. Val Kilmer was so nice to all of us. He knew my name on the first day, and I like because I was the first day of that rehearsal. He came up to me and said, "Hey Ray," and I was like, "How does he know my name?" And I'd asked his assistant, and he said he had a board with everybody's picture, Polaroid, and our names, and he memorized everybody's name. Isn't that cool?
Oh wow.
So the first day he
Wow.
knew all our names. So anyway, I forgot what the question was. What's the question?
Um,
Oh my gosh.
I just oh
Oh,
photography.
photography. Okay. So during that show, we were making good money in LA, so I had a little extra money. So, and I've always liked photography. So I bought a really nice camera, and I was taking pictures. And my roommate at the time, my best friend Sylvia McCullough, you know Sylvia, right? Anyway,
I think so.
um, we lived together for 18 years. She was my roommate for 18 years. Anyway, I love her. So she was like, I need some quick headshots. Can you do some headshots for me really quick? So I said, sure. So I started doing some headshots for her. And she goes, hey, these are pretty good. You should maybe do this. Like, you think so? She's like, yeah. So then I started doing it for my friends. Like, I wouldn't charge them. I said, just, and then I started getting really good at it. And then I started just doing photography. People started asking me for headshots. And then I started getting people who would say, do you do makeup as well? And I was like, no. Do you know somebody who does? I was like, no. So then Equity has this thing where it's called Transition for Dancers. They give you money to go and learn another trade when you're finished
Oh.
dancing, like you're too old to dance. So so I got $2,000 from the Equity Fund, and I went to a makeup school in Burbank called Makeup Designery School, and I learned how to do makeup from there. And that's how I ended up doing makeup and photography, because it was also to earn more money, because when you know how it is, when in between gigs you don't have a job, it's hard to
Right.
make that money last, right? So for me, it was like, well, this way I can make some money in the in between times, and it really
Yeah,
really helps me out. I didn't have to get a regular job; I could just do that. So it was awesome.
that's so cool.
Yeah, and I still
I know
do
you
photography here.
you did it for two of my daughters too.
Yeah, yeah.
The shots for them.
Hmm.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Awesome. And I think I was there when you did Kayla's.
Hmm.
I think I watched you do the whole makeup thing with her, and I
Yes.
was like, "Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So, I was learning during the process. Um, so now tell me about BCAPA.
Okay. So, um, I moved back to Bay City probably around, it was in 2019. Um, my sister wasn't well, and I wanted to be close to her, and so I was kind of that's what brought me back to Bay City. And once she started getting better, I started thinking about this school, and so my husband Darren and I were talking about it, and I was like, yeah, let's do it, because it's like I said at the beginning of this interview, Bay City was there for me when I wanted to go to LA, and they pitched in, and I had always said, if I can come back and do something for Bay City and do something like this and help the kids, I want to do it. So that's one of the main reasons we wanted to do it. I feel like Bay City has grown. It's not 13,000 anymore. It's like 17,000 now. But still, I want the kids to know that it's possible. Like, because when I was here, like I said, no one said, hey, you could do Broadway someday. Like, no one ever said that to me. So I want kids to know, if this is what they love and they're passionate about, it's possible. It happened to me. I got to do it. I got to go and do Broadway,
Yeah,
and you can too. So I want them to know that. So for us, it's about giving them the confidence to know that they can do that, but also train them and make sure that they have the right technique, that they have the right foundation. Um, because it's a tricky thing. I feel like some kids don't get that everywhere at schools, at different dance schools. They don't get the technique that's really really important. And we want to make sure that they have that stuff, because that builds that builds long-lasting careers and it helps them achieve their goals quicker. Do you know what I mean? If you work hard, learn your craft and do these things, you get better quicker and then you can achieve your goals faster. That's the way I
Wow.
at it. But yeah, it's something very dear to my heart. And I can tell you, Bruce, when I first opened and I had, because I've taught all around the world. I've taught in Italy, I taught in Japan, I've taught dance classes, but they've always been older kids, professionals that want to take class. So I've never had little bitties in my class. I mean, I've done some camps here and there, but not every week. So anyway, I was nervous about it. I didn't know how it was going to work, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to really communicate to them. But let me tell you, it's been awesome. And there are days when I want to pull my hair out, but most of the time it's great. And I love our kids, and they're I just see improvement every day with them, and that makes me happy. And the fact that if they get something that they're struggling with and they finally get it, and they look at me like, "Ah, I got it," and that is just that's an amazing feeling to see their face light
Yeah.
up and say, "Mr. Ray, I got it." That makes me really happy. So it's been really good. The first year we opened, COVID happened, so we went from September through February, and then shut down. So we were very sad about that. So then we were able to open the next year, of course, with masks and restrictions and stuff like that. But it worked out, and um, people, it's great. People have been talking about our school, and people talk about our recital. This past year, we had over like 1,000 people at our recital, and that never happens in Bay City. So that was an amazing thing. So it's going great. We're very blessed here. People are very supportive, which is also really nice. And it's nice being around my family. All my brothers are around here, so I get to see them, my sister, and it's been really, really good. I'm very, very happy, and I don't know. It's just been great.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of made me tear up a little bit because I don't know if you know, but my the motto of this program and also my Believe performing arts program that I do in my hometown and
Mhm.
the surrounding areas
Mhm.
is embrace the possible.
Mm.
And so it's it's that exact same thing. Like I came home with that exact same feeling of I I want to share everything. Like throughout my career, I mean, I haven't done nearly the things that you've done, but the things I have done and the places I've been, I always think back about home and those kids that are there
Mhm.
and thinking, oh my gosh, if they could just see that this small town boy, little
Mhm.
country boy
Yeah.
is doing this would give them the inspiration to know that they can too,
Right.
with the proper, you know, backing and work ethic and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so thank you so much for saying that. That's beautiful. um, and I'm I think I mean we kind of have time, but I know you have something coming up after this that
Yeah. I have a photo shoot, but I have 10 minutes, 11
you
minutes,
have 10.
11.
Okay, so can we play a quick little game and we don't have to do the whole thing,
Yeah.
but and hopefully this works. So I've compiled like some pictures and stuff that I'm just going to show you.
Okay.
I'm going to bring them on screen,
Okay.
and you can either say something about them or not, or just go, "Oh, that's cute." Pass.
Okay.
Next. Whatever.
Yeah.
Or if there's something interesting you want to share about that, you can go, "Oh, that's whatever."
Okay.
Um, so, and I hope you can see it because it's hard when you bring it on the screen. Um,
That's me and my sister. And that is I had just because I used to walk home from school. I had just walked the door from home from school, and that was a bed sheet hanging in our doorway and going into the kitchen. And my mom said, "Go up there really quick and take a picture with your sister." And some lady she was a traveling photographer. She knocked on the door and she took that picture of me and my sister. And just so you know, that shirt that my sister has on, you can't see it, but she has there's a clown face, which I used to love that little shirt that she used to wear. Yeah,
oh,
that's why I'm a little bit sweaty. I don't know if you can tell, but I had just finished walking home from school.
that's so cute.
This is me and my that's my family. That's my brothers, and then you look at my silly pose, and my sister. So there's 6 of us, and that's my brother Jose, Marion. Well, my brother Jose has the suspenders on. Marion is the one in the middle in the back. Then Prexy is the one with the graduation gown. Then Frankie, then Jesse, then me, and my sister Gloria. That's all of us.
Wow.
Mhm. Oh, that was at the Rent closing night party after they finished the last performance. And those are all so, so talented people right there. But that's Wilson Cruz, who played Angel. I played Angel, and it's Andy Signor, who played Angel as well on the end. And he's also now directing a lot. Um, he was there was a show, I think it was an HBO Max he did that he did rent somewhere. And that's Michael McElroy. He was Mike Collins sometimes, and Trey, who played Mark in the show on Broadway as well. Talented people.
Okay, so the guy right next to you said that played Angel. What is his name?
Wilson Cruz, the one in between me and Michael McElroy. Yeah, the great.
Is he also the same person that's on Star Trek Discovery now?
Yes, he's on Star
Yes.
Trek Discovery. Yeah,
Love, love, love him.
yeah,
Okay.
he's an amazing human being. Like honestly, you can't. Such a wonderful soul. He's just so nice and always positive, and I love him so much. He's wonderful to work with, and I adore him.
Oh, it's beautiful.
This is on the set of Rent the movie. So all the people from Broadway got to go and shoot the opening scene of, I don't know if it was opening scene actually. The we're not going to pay rent scene in the movie. They
Yeah.
put us all around Tay as he's singing. So we're all, if you look in the movie, you'll see us behind him singing. And that's,
I never knew you were in the movie.
yeah.
That's funny.
And that's Adam Pascal next to me. That's Adina Menzel, obviously. She wasn't in the show. She had already left the show by the time I did it on Broadway. And that's Yasmin Ehlers, who was the dance captain on the Broadway show. And she just finished doing The Notebook in Chicago. And that's Tay Diggs, obviously.
Wow. Amazing.
That's me and Deborah with RuPaul. She was doing some signing or performing. I can't remember what that was, but we got a picture with RuPaul, and that's Elizabeth Neff in the back. That's one of her publicists in the back. And that's one of the good things about hanging out with Deborah. I get to see some exciting things and meet some cool people. So that was fun that day.
That's awesome.
Oh my goodness. That's Showbiz is at Disneyland. That's one
Okay.
That's one of my favorite shows I've ever got to do. Such a fun show. 5 shows a day, 5 days a week. Showbiz is. Oh, Leah Thompson. That's one of the benefits that I got to do. And I'm still friends with her, and we still talk a lot. And I just, again, one of the nicest, sweetest people you ever want to meet. And she's a wonderful dancer and singer. And I've been to her house a few times in LA, and she has some horses there, and she has it's basically a farm, and I just have the best time with her. Always fun. I love her.
That's awesome.
I think that's another benefit that we did somewhere. She's so talented. Have you heard her sing? She was in oh my God, what's that show? Oh my gosh. It's a show Sylvia did with her. Janis Joplin. Was it the Janis Joplin show? I can't remember. Fun times. Jason Alexander. I met Jason. I did Damn Yankees at Reprise, and Jason Alexander directed it. So I got to know him and meet him there. And
oh wow.
Yes. And that was with Ty Taylor, and Lilias White was in there, and Jackie my God, what's her name? Jackie from 227.
Oh yeah.
It's not
Jackie Harris or something?
Yes, her.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I got to, oh God, I love him. He's amazing. I was a big fan of Chuck. Did you ever see the movie?
Yeah.
Chuck?
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of that show. So I got to perform in a benefit with him. And I remember the first day I saw him in the rehearsal hall, and I went up to him, I go, I don't want to scare you, but I love you. And he just started laughing. One of the sweetest guys ever. I love him.
Nice.
Oh, this is from Jane the Virgin. I got to do a little part on Jane the Virgin, and such a fun shoot. But this is a funny story too. So I don't know if you've seen that episode, but they do a scene where it's me with the two leads, and they're dancing. And so the first shot we did was the camera was on them, and you saw my back. And so they're talking and dancing. And then the next shot they did was the camera was on me, so they didn't even dance. It was just me. And I had to pretend they were dancing, but they gave me a little teensy ear monitor to hear the music. And the beginning of the scene, I was supposed to clap to the music, but I couldn't hear. If I clapped, I couldn't hear the music, so I couldn't stay on the beat. So I kept telling him, like, "Can you please turn this up because I can't hear the music?" And they kept saying, "It's up, it's up," and I never heard it. So they cut out the clapping because I must have been off.
Oh,
But that was fun, and I got to meet the whole cast was there that day for they were doing a cast photo together. So I got to meet everybody in the cast, which was really cool. That was fun.
nice, nice.
Oh, and that's Deborah and I. She was doing a photo shoot, and I was just there to hang out. And she's like, "Get up here," and I took a picture with her.
Oh, I love that.
Oh my gosh! And that's like the tour days from 1989, 1990, and that's my friend Herbie and Chris Cuevas on the bottom, and he was also, I think he was like an opening act for her. He was doing music as well.
Okay.
Oh, there's my Celia. Celia, we used to be dance. Well, obviously, we were dance partners at the Backstreet. We did all the dances together, and I just love her. Talk about a beautiful person. That's my Celia.
Absolutely.
I love her.
Absolutely.
This was our after photo from Cannes, France. That's Kenny and Diana. And we took a picture from before this where we were all beautiful. And then this is after the show. We wanted to do it before and after. And that's our picture after. Our butts off. This was at the reunion, right?
Yeah.
That's Kenny and I forget his name. It's Grayson. Is that Grayson?
Graydon.
Graydon.
Smith. Yeah.
Yes. Todd Smith's son. Yeah. Love it. Oh, and those are all our peeps, Bruce. Those are all the peeps.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's from my ship days. I was on the ship for 9 months with Holland America, and they, at the end of our thing, the last 4 or 5 months, they made us do the Dancing with the Stars thing, and we all hated it. And that's us posing with the contestants. It was horrible.
How funny.
That's me and Rita Moreno. At the end of our show, we did a question answering session. So I think somebody asked a funny question, and that's why I'm laughing. But we always sat next to each other on those. And you look at that. I look at that, and I still can't believe that I got to do that. Like, I still can't believe that I got to with Rita Moreno. It's freaking me out sometimes. Anyway.
Incredible. Okay, so we'll stop there. But thank you so much for doing this, Ray.
Bruce, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for asking me. And I thank you for all you do, Bruce, for all the kids in your neighborhood and all around the world that you've gone and traveled. Because I see that you travel around too. I see all your posts, and it just makes me happy that other kids are getting the opportunities that we had, that people came to our towns and helped us achieve our dreams. And I feel like that's what you're doing. And I don't think I don't even know how to say it. I just think that's such a wonderful, wonderful, positive thing that you're doing for kids. And I just makes my heart happy, and makes me happy for the kids that get to experience the things they get to experience with you and your travels. So thank you for doing what you do. I appreciate it.
Oh, bless you, my friend. Wow. Let's not make it another 10 years. Let's figure something out. In fact, I mean, I'm not going to pin you to it right now, but would you be open to, like, on one of my projects coming in and being like a guest director or a guest?
Yeah.
Kind of
Are you kidding?
Okay, cool.
I would love to do that. That would be amazing. Okay. You just let me know when.
I'll save up my pennies and see if I can afford it. That's awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much. Is there, before we go, is there anything that you want to share about upcoming things or?
No, I don't think so. I just want to say, like I said before, to all the kids out there, keep doing what you're doing and have the faith and believe that things are possible for you, because they are possible. You just put in the hard work and be passionate about what you do, and it'll happen for you. You just have to keep working on it. Don't give up. That's for sure.
Oh, I love that. And congratulations. I didn't know that you're married. I didn't
know
that. So
congratulations. Thank you. It'll be a year, December 4th. It'll be a year. And I don't know why at the beginning of the interview I said my current husband, like I've had more. I've only had one. I was so nervous, I guess, at the beginning. I said my current husband, like I've had 5. I don't know, just one. Just one.
Got a few more teed up later.
He's gonna be like, what? Anyways.
I love that. Well, I'm gonna let you get on to your appointment.
Okay.
And thank you again. I love you, my friend.
I love
Live
you.
long and prosper.
I love you. Bye. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, that was so cool. That was like the perfect interview. um, yeah, I keep tearing up because I'm just so happy. Anyway, thank you again for tuning in to Believe TV. Uh, Hopefully, I'll be back again next week, and we will see you then. Always remember, embrace the possible.